Hello everyone and welcome to Beyond the Stage. Today I'm joined by Escaping Pavement. So tell us about some of your earliest memories of music.
I always listened to music around the house as kids and listened to pretty much anything and everything you could possibly think of, from classical to rock and roll to jazz to really old jazz, pretty much anything.
Yeah. I also had some family members that were played music, listened to music. My neighbors growing up, were working musicians. My friends' parents, guitarist, drummer, so I learned a lot from them, from the time I was, 7 years old on, kind of had an instrument in my hand. Not that I could necessarily play at that point, but.
Was there a particular moment both of you decided to become musicians?
It's kind of a crazy story. When I was about 14 years old, I had just been playing guitar for only about a year, and I liked it a lot, but I was kind of like, it's fun to do. But then when I was 14, I ended up smashing my left hand, and I just totally obliterated it. It was in really bad shape. I thought I was going to lose a couple of fingers. So I thought I wouldn't be able to play guitar anymore. And it wasn't until that happened that I realized how much it actually meant to me and how much I really liked doing it, that if I wouldn't have been able to do it anymore, how upset I would have been. So kind of at that point for me, it was like, wow, I think I really want to do this. So I don't know about for you.
For me, no, nothing near as, as inspirational there, but I don't know, probably in my teens. I think I was probably about 14. I had just gotten into high school, and it just became more, I started practicing more. I got more serious about it. I started listening to more guitar-oriented music, to make me practice harder. Stevie Ray Vaughan was kind of a big early influence on guitar. And then, of course, things have kind of gone on a tangent from there, but I think, yeah, probably that was when I decided it was something I wanted to seriously pursue.
Was music something you studied growing up?
We went to, it's now called, it changed names, it's called the Los Angeles College of Music now. It's in Pasadena, California. And we went there and both studied guitar performance. Probably it was 2007 now, so it was a while ago, but it was a lot of fun.
We were both in band in school as well, like high school.
Yeah.
High school band. I wasn't in a high school band, but...
yeah, you were, for a little while.
Jazz band.
Jazz band.
Yeah, so...
How did the two of you meet?
We met at an open mic night in Lake Orion.
Michigan.
Yeah, Lake Orion, Michigan.
Not everybody knows where Lake Orion is.
Yeah. And place isn't there anymore, but a guy that fixed my amplifiers, I just so happened to blow up an amp on a gig. I went to him and I met this guy. He's like, yeah, I got an open mic night, my band out Lake Orion. It was kind of a drive for me. And I just, decided just to go out there, and just Emily and I crossed paths there. She went up and played with these guys, and just met that way, and eventually came together to play music, in all different permutations throughout the last 10 years. We played music on cruise ships, so we were kind of a top 40 group, and then came back from that and decided to get more into the original music, Americana, folk stuff. So,
yeah.
Someone new to Escaping Pavement, how would you describe your sound?
Definitely Americana, very much so, very true to that genre, but I know it seems more and more what defines that genre is becoming greatly blurred. So we have a tagline that we feel like kind of pretty well describes our music, and that's Americana wildflowers amongst blades of bluegrass. Kind of Americana wildflowers, because when we write a song, you never know necessarily which which main kind of rootsy music is going to come through as being the real focus of it. But it'll definitely always have a little bit of everything else thrown in here and there. And then the bluegrass part of it, just because everything is going to always, no matter if it's like more bluesy or folky or rockish, it's always going to have a little bit of that bluegrassy edge to it.
Yeah.
Mainly because we're instrumentation for the most part now, which is mandolin and guitar most of the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that pretty well sums it up in a nice little package.
When writing songs, what inspires your music?
Can be so many different things. For me, I feel like it's just personal life a lot. It could be things that happen to me, or things that happen to somebody else, or just things that you see going on around you. But I think for me, that's definitely the biggest.
That's it for me as well.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of observation and trying to put that into, you know, eloquent words to a song.
Yeah.
And definitely just sometimes a melody strikes you, you know, and you try to figure out something to happen with that. And I feel like sometimes the songwriting, it can go either way. You know, I'll come up with a part and then I, you know, will be inspired to like write lyrics around that, or it could just be lyrics and I say, well, something's cool here, but I don't know, you know, it might take a while to get inspired on the instrument or come up with a good melody. But, you know, somehow always comes together.
I feel like listening to new music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will inspire something too as well. Not necessarily has to be new, but just something that we haven't listened to before.
Yeah.
You know, discovering other artists and just different things out there. So we're always doing that, always looking for something new to hear and listen to and experience.
Who have been some of your biggest musical influences?
Early on for me, one of the first bands I listened to a lot was Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, as a songwriter, as a guitarist. And then going into that more bluesy vein, I got into SRV. And lately, you know, I picked up the mandolin, I don't know how many years, probably 7-8 years ago. And I started listening to Chris Thile is a huge influence. He's just a tremendous musician and has a way of, you know, hopping genres that, you know, blurs the lines of, you know, he'll do a bluegrass record, he'll do a classical record, you know. He's got a group called the Punch Brothers, which is a big influence of ours that, you know, you don't really ever know what to expect, you know. But somehow it's always a coherent statement. It's a, you know, makes a good record. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to, in a way, do, is blur these different lines, these different genres, while still having a solid statement, you know, not being all over the place.
Yeah.
For me,
it was probably my biggest influence of all time. Always has been and always will be the Beatles. That's what I grew up listening to. My parents, my mom always told me she used to sing me Beatles songs as lullabies when I was a baby. So I think it just somehow got ingrained in there, and then it just stuck from that point forward. But you know, I've loved them forever. But then probably my formative musician years, I really did like Crosby, Stills and Nash a lot. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and some of the other folk rock artists of the 60s and 70s. Even like Eric Clapton, I'm sure he had a big influence on me as a guitar player and all his various projects that he was in. Definitely learned my fair share of all that stuff. And the Allman Brothers as well was definitely another really big influence and really ingrained in me, and I think you as well.
Yeah.
That whole
I think the blues rock thing early on
blues
was
rock
greatly
and Southern
ingrained.
rock.
You can hear a lot of that come through on our first record, UpRooted.
Yeah.
So things have
The Southern rock thing really
kind of changed lately for us, but it's definitely there.
Can you tell us about UpRooted?
Yeah. UpRooted began
That
as
was our debut album.
our debut album. That was our first effort, really at all with us.
Yeah, with this band.
In any of our variations of our group over the years.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I don't know, it started as I started having this style come together as like this, like you were saying, kind of like a Southern rock or like roots rock thing. And then toward the end of the record, like by the time we got into the studio, we were still writing, which I don't know that we'd necessarily do again, but a couple of songs kind of popped out that were more, that included like a banjo and mandolin and things that kind of headed more toward this Americana folk vibe. And then, you know, so that's kind of how the record went. It really kind of starts out as a southern rock kind of sound, and then sort of comes into the transforms a little bit toward the end, and then kind of comes back together. There's a tune on the very end of it. You mentioned the Allman Brothers. You know, there's you know, I play slide guitar called 4th of July, and then so it kind of goes out with that southern rock kind of thing too. Mm-hmm. So,
but it was our, you know, first album. We felt it was pretty good effort, and we still really love it. We play a lot of the songs off of it, even though it was a quartet, and now we're a duo. But
we've sort of tried to rearrange some of the tunes on there.
We've kind of taken some of them and played with them a little bit, and changed them around to fit our new format that we have going on. But we're really looking forward to getting the next thing recorded and getting a new representation of what we have going on now. But UpRooted will still always be one of our pride and joys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you currently working on a new album?
We're writing a lot of songs. Yeah. We haven't started recording anything yet, so we probably got at least, we counted the other way, like 15 to 17 songs in the works. So. Yeah,
like we said, we're trying not to do the whole, UpRooted has 9 songs. I think when we went into the studio, we had about 7. So we kind of started, I think we were a little bit anxious.
We were anxious.
We were a little anxious to get into the studio. It's like, we got to do this. You know, once we get into it, it'll start rolling. But I think this time we're trying to write just a load of tunes, you know, like go in with like 20 songs and just, you know, have some other material to go through, so that we try to get everything real strong on it, you know. Mm-hmm. So
what are some of your goals moving forward?
Well, the biggest one at the moment is just to get a new album recorded and get that out there. And we keep trying to slowly expand where it is we're playing to. Yeah. You know, we, like this, for instance, this summer will be our busiest summer to date, and we'll be covering the most ground that we ever have yet in like the, 3 years we've been doing this project now, Escaping Pavement.
Right.
So each year we're kind of just trying to get out a little further, get to a few more people, get into some of the bigger events that happen around our area, and then try to work out into other states as well. We've been looking into possibly relocating to a different city because of the different music scenes. You know, we've entertained the idea of possibly moving to Austin, Texas, because it's obviously just has such a great music scene. And we're looking at a couple other places too that we might go to that really have a huge Americana thing going on in the music scene as well. Detroit is, it's got a really huge, vibrant music scene, but it is really, really like rock, garage rock. And
it's rock oriented.
Yeah, very rock oriented, or even hip hop oriented.
Right.
So there are a lot of places where you can do Americana music around here, and people really appreciate it.
We like to play all the craft breweries. That's good.
Yeah,
stuff,
the craft breweries is great.
We're getting out to more of those actually this summer, and but yeah, basically, you know, the goal is expanding into different markets, and you know, like we were saying, and getting the next project rolling.
Just kind of always trying to reach out to more people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where's the best place for fans to stay up to date with everything you have going on?
Facebook is probably the best. That's probably what we update the most.
Yeah. Our website has all of our shows, our schedule.
That does, yeah.
You know, we also have a mailing list where we send out a newsletter, mm-hmm. you know, with updates and things that we're working on, things that are happening. But yeah, Facebook is constantly updated. So
which is facebook.com/Escaping Pavement.
yes.
That's just what we update the most. So
Yeah.
if you want to find like minute-to-minute information, sometimes it doesn't always pop up on our website right away, but we do get that up there pretty quickly as well. And the website is escapingpavement.com. So
Did you have any final thoughts for everyone before we go?
thanks for having us.
Yeah. Very much
We
so.
appreciate you asking. And
Yeah.
I think all the stuff that you're trying to do to help out indie musicians is pretty cool. So